My full name is Cameron Dwight Bomberry. Hambone is what I'm called. More of a family nickname, and everybody from the Lacrosse family probably pretty much has heard it. 48. Born 24th of May, 1971. I was attending high school in Caledonia, which is the neighboring town outside of off the reserve there. And I started playing lacrosse, or field lacrosse actually, in high school. I didn't play no field lacrosse except out in the field actually behind the house or wherever, but the game of field lacrosse, no, I didn't play no organized field lacrosse till, grade 9, high school age. Where I started, that's where I grew up, right? And born and raised, but again, I came off the reserve, went off the reserve to play junior A lacrosse. And then after that, lacrosse just kind of took me a lot of different places. College was in the States, different international tournaments, just everywhere, so. I went to Nazareth College of Rochester in Pittsford, New York.
Just down the road from Geneva, New York.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we had some battles in Geneva, I'll tell you that. Yeah, they'll remember 92. Hobart will remember 92. Well, in my household right now, I got a family, wife and kids. My wife has been with me for years and years. Been a very supportive partner to what I do with this game, and as growing our family at home, continuing to do that through all aspects. The girls, play their sports and whatnot, but with the boys that I got, we've always been dedicated to lacrosse and hockey in the wintertime. But me and my wife Carmel, we've got 5 children. Got bookend boys. Jake is our oldest, he's 25 now, and got 3 girls in between, 21, 19, 13, and I got our bookend boy of 10. So I got to go through this whole gamut again, man. So it's gonna be fun. Everybody's first coach is probably their parent, their father, basically, right? Which is how I came across it. This opportunity of being able to coach your children is something, but taking it to another level is another thing. And going back to that other question about family and fathers and grandfathers, I think it's just been something as a way of life for us, basically. It's who we are. Everybody's pretty much got a lacrosse stick with them when they're younger. And that's just the connection as far as the cultural connection as to who we are. Cap, he played all his life, and I look back at pictures of his black and white pictures of when they were just little guys, and stuff like that. And just seeing his pictures as he got older in the teams that he played with, it was just one of those cool experiences to see that, and then to have our own collection of pictures going alongside all of those too. It's pretty impressive. And then for him to have that kind of same memory of his father's playing days, my grandpa Jake, that's just something that, carries on throughout my boys too now. Yeah, coaching. I've coached quite a bit actually. Manage, it kind of goes hand in hand with the coaching part too. So I kind of, just another level of that experience. I help with the junior B Rebels as a manager, coach them as well, but kind of took that other role on, just kind of out of necessity, but at the same time just wanting that challenge of saying, okay, well, it was our 3rd year at the Founders too, so it was something as a challenge to, okay, well, where are we taking this, so kind of help steer that way. Oh, good golly, Jim, there's, experiences connected to this game can go on all day, As a player, a lot of big championships, right from provincials as a little guy. Those are huge, you know, backyard victories are even big, you know, but at the same time, when it gets to things where you get a banner or a trophy or something, that makes it a little bit more special, right? But little guys, we see the Super Series that's been 100 years, not 100, but 30 plus years, you know, the Hamilton Super Series, those were always big tournaments for us as a minor tournament. We had the Brampton tournaments, we had the St. Catharines tournaments, but provincials, you know, those were another thing. When we were able to capture, say, a provincial tournament as a novice team, you know, sure we were C or whatever, but you know, those still are considered big accomplishments for little guys, right? So that's what we did, and we had to get that ball rolling somewhere. And as we grew, I think the magnitude or whatever of those championships got a little bit bigger too, you know. So that's why I think the people that invested a lot of time in us, we got to give a lot of thanks to. And that's where the people that get involved in the game, you know, really show that passion, you know, because then when it materializes in the young ones benefiting to, hey, they just boosted their confidence, they got this whole great big head of steam going forward, you know, it's all good stuff. So with that, so many championships and stuff like that, but just games, life lessons that you learn throughout playing and stuff like that, those are outweigh the trophies or hardware of any kind, you know, to me anyway. But, you know, there's been some big things. The tournament that we went to in BC as a Pee Wee team, I thought that was pretty special. That was, you know, a bunch of little res boys getting together to be able to go on a plane for the first time, a lot of us, right? And I thought that was awesome. I don't use the word awesome a lot just because it's overused, but I guess ace would be the way that I would say it, because as little guys, you know, 11, 12 years old, that was a big trip to the other side of the country. And then to play lacrosse, we couldn't beat it, you know. There was 52 teams, I think, in that tournament in Coquitlam. They picked the most sportsmanlike team out of all of us. And we won the darn most sportsmanlike team out of 52. So that was like, we didn't even know, kids didn't know about it, but we ended up getting all, I remember this. We all got the Etienne Martin stick and a pair of Nike shoes. Canvas, you know, but still there's like, who gives away Nike shoes, I guess, you know, or who receives Nike shoes like that at that age, or that was like 1982, you know? So as, you know, 11-year-old, I was like, holy heck, a lacrosse stick and a pair of shoes? Holy heck. It was like Christmas again, you know? So at the same time, those kinds of things really are ingrained in the memory, right? The experience of just going out to BC on a plane, the people that we met there, the whole lacrosse community grows the more experiences that you get to really enjoy all of it, right? So that's just how it took off. And that's up to that point, there was, you know, like I said, the little provincial wins or tournament wins and stuff like that, but that was starting to be what really started to take off in '82. I was just a young fellow then. I left our midget team in '86, I believe, to come to play in St. Catharines. I got an invite. Jim Brady was coaching here. So myself, my cousin Scott Cavan, and another kid from Brantford, Derek Graham, jumped in the car and come out to tryouts out here in St. Catharines. And worked out that I stuck around for a while here, for a few years in St. Catharines, and you know, got to play in a Minto Cup here in St. Catharines. But that in itself, it's just all of those things that come together and start to really form and put that road together, you know, and it's all those things, and that really, I guess, I kind of put my name on the radar of who's eligible to play for this new field lacrosse team that was going to be happening right in '88. And like I said, I was able to play some junior A out here in St. Catharines, and that was some good teams there. I liked that junior A lacrosse back then was pretty hardcore. You know, there's wooden sticks, about 75% of the guys had wooden sticks, right? And, you know, you felt it after a game. But that leading up to how it toughened you up, you know, mentally, physically, everything. You know, and me going as a 16-year-old, kind of a young punk, couldn't even drive myself to practice, you know, playing against the 21-year-olds of the day, you know. However I helped out, or however I could help out, I did. But at the same time, it was a matter of, you know, the good bunch of guys that I had around me at that time. And Coach Brady at that time, you know, he didn't whisper. He'd tell you how it was, you know. He was an in-your-face kind of guy. And the help that he had around, Phil Morgan was helping at the time. We had Lee Randall, who's probably still on the bench training with the athletics. You know, he's been around for 100 years. I got to give a shout out to Lee. He's been a good guide there. But preparation for the Minto Cup in St. Catharines there, that was a good year too. You know, the Kilgores were on the squad, Mearnsey, Meridian, Maxwell. We had a good squad. You know, my buddy from Six Nations, Pete Sky, come and helped us out a couple of years here as well. You know, and but at that time it was kind of in a funk because I wasn't with the guys that I grew up with, that '82 team, right? And those guys, some of those guys have splintered off and went and played for the Bengals. That was a closer team to us at the time. I came a little bit further down the QE, so when I got here, my cousin Tim and Miles and a bunch of other guys, they went to Hamilton and tried out and jumped on that team. So here we were after all those years of, you know, working together. We're battling, you know. So we had some good games. That's, you know, but after a few of those years, there was talk of, you know, bringing that A caliber lacrosse back to Six Nations. That's what we did after a few years. It was just in the wind in the junior A loop, I guess. I don't know. I don't think I got any kind of formal letter in the mail saying, come try out. It was just kind of this is happening here. It was highly recommended that, you know, a bunch of us go try out. I know from my St. Catharines team, myself and Randy Mearns tried out, him and I eventually made it. Jason Doucette, good ball player back in his day. But, you know, that was just an experience again. It was just more like, here, go try it. You know, if you try it and you make it, good. You know, just keep going. And that's how it just go to St. Catharines, try. If you make it, keep going. That's how that went, you know. So it was like, okay, well, field lacrosse. Didn't play all that much during high school, but, you know, box lacrosse, heck, I think we had the advantage anyway. That net was huge. Growing up, I shot a little 4x4 piece of plywood, yeah. Lean on a tree, yeah. But building that road to the Canadian U19 team, that was something because I heard of the name of like Stan Cochran, Johnny Meridian, all these guys, you know, and they were guys that were still giving back, and like you say, from the 78, right? Yeah. And that was something that was echoed as we were preparing, you know, telling that story of the U.S. victory. And I think that kind of got the group that we had finally put together, and it was a mix of our junior A box league with some guys that maybe have already jumped out of the box and gone to an American high school, which was kind of rare even then, you know. There was a couple guys that I know were on our team that I was not familiar with because they didn't even play box, you know. So at that time, we were a bunch of guys that had some familiarity just through playing against each other. You know, some of the guys from Peterborough that we played against, the Oshawa guys, the Diamond brothers and stuff like that, and the McCombs, like Jeff and his younger brother Dougie. we're just a bunch of guys playing against each other that came together to see if we could do something. We got a silver. It was huge. It was huge. And that whole experience in itself, you know, is a smidge above the Coquitlam trip, you know. It just, that's how it started to take off for like my personal kind of lacrosse career, if you want to call it that, at a young teenage kind of point. And anyway, that's about where it was. But 88, like I said, I was only 17, you know, going halfway or going to the other side of the world, you know. I was pretty fortunate. My dad got to come with me. He took that time to go and do that. And, you know, it was a great experience. It was just the whole thing of it. That was Australia. That was Adelaide, South Australia. Yeah. And just the professionalism, I guess, of the team and how they approach things. The fundraising efforts that we all had to participate in, you know, and that was the whole buy-in part of it though too, right? Yeah. Is the players' investment and how committed they were to the team. And it's something that I try to keep instilled in our teams as well, is you're part of it. You don't just go out on the floor, you gotta be in it all the way basically, right? But at the same time, that team there that we put together in 88 is pretty special, because those same guys that we, like I said, a few of them I mentioned, like the Mernseys and the guys from Whitby and Peterborough way, you know, we ended up playing against each other or playing with each other on same teams for years to come. Yeah. These been sitting in Cap's basement for some years now. These are the gloves that I wore in Australia for Team Canada. These are the old L35s, the ones that almost go up your elbow. But yeah, and that's right from the leather palms right there, which I kept in there because they were felt good back in the day. I'd never had full leather palms there, but just cut the small part out in the middle. But yeah, these babies scored me about 5 goals against USA right off the hop, you know. That 5 went down to 3 in the championship game though. They threw Pat McCabe on me, who was one of the best defenders at Syracuse at the time. He was just a freshman. And it was quite eye-opening, you know, us guys going to Australia. You know, sure, we played a lot of lacrosse, played, you know, good hard box lacrosse, you know, and that's where I've seen the difference of how this game is, the games differ just in the sense of using, you know, the boards compared to the outside field and the technique and the strategy of the field and everything like that. But I think it was just one of those things that, okay, mental note. I know Randy Mearns made a lot of mental notes at that time, you know. It was like, okay, what's the difference between box and field? How do we play this differently, and how do we make ourselves better? You know, so with that, there was times where, you know, how do we get better as a team? How do we get better individually? How do we get better just on a line that you would run with, right? So this thing, and I've got the white version too, still packed away. The other one's a little bit more worn, but these have been hanging around for, you know, all these years. And like I said, the game has progressed to where we can take a lot of our box skills and excel and really, I don't want to say dominate, because it definitely gives that advantage to a box lacrosse player. That transition is easier made from box to field versus field to box, you know. And guys coming out of college that have played only field lacrosse, you know, in hopes at making maybe a pro box lacrosse team, you know, it's a little bit, they're a lot fewer than vice versa anyway. And that's what makes this 88 tournament so special down in South Australia. So me and my dad, another kid from the reserve, Derek General, who was our goalie, made all world you know, and didn't go to college anywhere. He went to Georgian College and, you know, got a degree there, but, you know, didn't go anywhere else, you know, because, you know, back in high school days, our guidance counselor, didn't know his ass from his elbow, you know, how to get us to the States, you know.
Right.
And as many times as I'd say, I'd like to go, you know, how do I do this? Or how do I, you know, to make a phone call? Yeah. And it was just so foreign to them. Yeah, like, so I ended up doing 5 years of high school, taking OAC credits and, you know, being eligible for university around here just because I didn't really know what the heck I was going to do. You know, cruising through high school, not exactly cruising because I did study. No, it was something because, like I said, this 88 team, we had a nucleus of guys that I knew were kind of in that same path, you know, that wanted to do something outside of just playing lacrosse here and going to public high school or wherever, you know. Randy had the same kind of vision. We talked a lot as good buddies and teammates, right? So he ended up going to Western first. Him and Jeff McComb went to Western first. They're, you know, brainiacs to be able to do that. And good golly, they were a year older, so they took off earlier. But in my waiting around time, this 80, 89 come around. Oh, to go back to this tournament though, coolest thing. We were at the opening ceremonies before we played our first game, and it was us against US right off the hop. And here they do the opening ceremonies for the whole tournament. It's right on the field. So they're bringing ambassadors and they're lining teams up as we're already lined up to play each other. And then they had announced that there was a submission from the Iroquois Nationals that they'd like to be put back into this world tournament. And here comes Oren Lyons and Sid Jamieson, who coached at Bucknell and for years. And I looked over and I was like, oh, seeing guys in Nungo clothes, like their traditional native dress, right? I was like, holy geez. And that's what they announced. I was like, oh, that's cool. And here, what they were doing was putting the wheels in motion to end up at Perth in 1990. And that's where I guess in that between 88 and 90 was when it was official that we were going. And 88, we start preparing to go to Perth in 90. Things were just rolling along. I was just like
Good opportunity.
Yeah, heck yeah. I was just a, you know, young
You're born
teen.
at the right time.
Oh, well, all the things start falling into place pretty well.
Yeah.
You know, and, you know, with the support of my dad and parents and whatnot, you know, I always kind of, okay, well, let's just see what's happening, you know. Some luck on my part to be able to participate on these teams, sure. But to have that support was something. Like I was saying, in 88, 90, the preparation for the whole Iroquois National piece was, we're seeing Oren and Sid at that time just said, okay, it's on. And that again was a whole lot of pride, I guess, and confidence. So come back, and then hearing of the team that had already been established, I guess, through Iroquois Nationals and their exhibition games and stuff like that. They went down to LA and played some pre-Olympic stuff or whatever as a demonstration, whatnot. But knowing that it was going to become a reality now I go and meet other guys that were older. A couple guys were already in college, like a Scotty Burnham and Danny Burnham, Red's younger brothers. They were at Cornell, they were at Loyola, they were at these places where I wanted to go, you know. I was like, holy jeez, only heard of them, you know. But didn't know about the D1, D2, D3 stuff, you know. I was just like, I knew Syracuse, I knew Hopkins, I knew all those big guys, you know. So here I was taking grade 13 in Canada, you know, hoping to maybe just, okay, well, if I got to go to university up here, I'll do that. But at the same time, my whole thought process was, I'd like to see where this lacrosse thing can go to, you know? So here I was graduating, still nothing happening lacrosse-wise, but made the team to go to Australia with the Iroquois Nationals. As a young guy, I was probably one of the younger guys on the team. I'm one of the only guys from Six Nations. And here we were having tryouts and exhibition games against other colleges or other men's club teams. And we had a non-native coach at the time. His name was Scott Nelson, and he was the head coach at Nazareth College. So here we are playing in the tournament. Didn't say too much, oh, well, we were trying out or whatever, and actually had a tryout at Nazareth College, and I was just kind of like checking it out. I was like, oh yeah, because I knew Rich and Darius and a couple of Lazor boys were going there at the time. I'm like, yeah, this is a nice place. I'd never actually been on a college campus or anything like that before until then, you know. So it was just kind of like green, going everywhere and learning, you know. But then we were, you know, a couple games in at the World Games down there, and that was a big moment down there, standing on the field with, you know, shoulder to shoulder with all our guys, something. And we played Canada, played US, played, you know, England, Australia. Took our lumps, you know, especially against Canada, US. Canada had a good squad back then. Jamie, Batley, Paul and Gary, you know, Marichak, you know. These guys were the thing back then, you know. They were in their prime back then. Like I was saying, like when I was younger playing junior A at St. Catharine, Jamie Batley was, you know, almost a senior in the junior leagues, and he was a mean bugger back then, you know. So, you know, having that mentality that was just raising it up all the time. Every time you meet him, you just got to raise it up, right? So, me being the youngest guy out there, it's like, oh, geez. Man up here now, you know.
They make you better.
Oh yeah, definitely. And taking lumps is okay. It's just a matter of you get up, dust yourself off, and keep going, right? And that's pretty much what I learned pretty quick there. And that's what we did. And because we did, you know, take our lumps and just took our stick and ball and went home, come back again another time. That's all we did, you know. And but that tournament was special because it started everything off. And I just got reminded, I guess, of some of those pictures and some of those times. My buddy from Onondaga, Kent Lyons, he's a goalie down there. He just sent a whole bunch of pictures that he had taken during those times, those traveling times, right, in Australia. It's like, holy mackerel, just a young kid, you know. But at the same time, the whole learning process, the whole atmosphere of what this game brings to you, you know, was becoming more and more aware. That tournament there in '90 gave me my opportunity in college, because as we're, you know, winding down from the tournament, July, Cam, what are you doing? This is Scott Nelson. Cam, what are you doing for the fall? What are you doing? I said, I took grade 13 up in Canada. Guess I'm staying in Canada. Okay, I'll chat with you when we get back. And a couple months later, here I am doing admissions at Nazareth College. You know, sent my transcript from high school and the grade 13 credits and whatnot. That must have helped me out, because they're pretty much like college courses, right? And ended up 4 years at Nazareth, 1 year winning the national championship, '92. That was, again, all those stories that just happened through this game. Sociology. Actually, my brother asked me that same question before as I was going to school. Oh, I'm an astrology major at Nazareth. What? Astrology? Astrology? Yeah, I'm just taking up space. I said, you know, playing lacrosse, taking up space. He got a kick out of it. But yeah, it was, again, all those learning things of this world is huge. And then this lacrosse game has taken me to a lot of those places through it. And this community has become family, basically, you know.
team?
Yeah, the 90 tournament in Perth. 94, we were in, I think it was 94, Baltimore? No, 94 was in England. We went to England, Manchester, and then back to Baltimore 98. And 02, I didn't go. 02 was in back in Perth, I believe. And then I played in 06 in London.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, played in London. And actually, I wanted to coach in London, but they ended up put me yeah. No, London, Ontario.
Oh,
06.
Oh, London, Ontario, yeah.
Yeah, I'd actually wanted to coach, but ended up putting a stick in my hand again and playing. So that was my last field tournament. I played the 03 box tournament here in Ontario. Yeah. And I thought that was cool too. You know, like the box tournament. That's getting bigger and better too.
Yeah.
That's getting bigger and better. With the whole world field stuff, you know, that just opened up a whole nother thing. It's just like, this game is booming. You know, we went from those, we were the fifth team in Australia, right?
Yeah.
Canada, US, England, Australia, we made the 15. Within those 10 years or so, there was 50 plus, you know?
Yeah.
To know now that it's 50 plus, holy mackerel.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
So that is something that I'll always remember, going from those original 4 or 5 teams to where it is today.
Yeah.
Good golly.
Yeah.
Professional lacrosse was, again, starting in those 80s, and we heard of the teams like Baltimore Thunder and stuff like that, or whatever they were called. And Boston had a team. And again, those were filled with all college players, right? The college field players.
Yeah.
And then when I started college in 90, a couple of years later, Buffalo Bandits got a team. You know, that whole league started to really take off again. And then as I got done school and graduated out of junior, playing with the Arrows, it was like, okay, well, my dad come and put a senior team together. Graduated out of the juniors into the Chiefs, and that gave our graduating players a place to play. And you know, it's kind of a lot of gratitude to those guys that put all those things in place, like my dad and Dave and all these different builders that put the I guess the stones in place to step on, you know, just that they built it. And that's what happened playing first year with the Chiefs in '93. It was one of those stories where we went from the outhouse to the penthouse, is what they say, you know, because we were pretty lean in that first year. And then lo and behold, we put it together for '94. We had a lot of our junior A graduates and that have been playing, and we got a big boost from a lot of guys coming from the Brampton team that had mixed with us. The Kilgores come back and played with us, you know. So it happened that good '94 Chiefs team that won the Mann Cup, you know, started things off, and I was fortunate enough to have a good tournament then. Like I said, finishing up school and getting drafted. I got drafted out of it was the MIL then, the Mill League, and it was the Rochester Knighthawks first year. Then Barry Paulus was the coach there, and I don't know, he must have come and seen me play in the Mann Cup, I guess, you know, because I thought I did all right too. I had a great experience there, you know, playing with that level of lacrosse and with those level of talented guys. Holy jeez, you know, that's lacrosse right there. But ended up getting drafted first overall to the Knighthawks in that '94 draft. But that series went on in against the Salmon Bellies, and I ended up tearing my ACL in that series, a 6th game of that series, and didn't know until well after, you know, well after the celebrating was done anyway, but you know, that's when it got sore. But finding out that the ACL was torn prevented me from starting with the Knighthawks when they first started. So myself and Dewey Jacobs and Dal Squire, Billy's boy, went down there. Derek General, the goalie that played on the '88 team, actually great box lacrosse goalie, played lots of pro box as well. Went to Rochester, and in a couple of years we won a championship there. So it wasn't long, we got things rolling. Again, my buddy Randy was there, Mernsey. So things start working together well. That was a cool place to go back to, because that's where I went to school, right? Just in Rochester, just a suburb of Rochester. So had some college boys that actually got drafted as well, and teammates again, so it worked out really well. Coaching staff and everything, we did well. I think I played a few years there and then went to Buffalo, and Buffalo was going through some transition there too, so it was changing, and then ended my career in New Jersey, and that was a new team back in that time. Yeah, just after 2000, 2001, 02, something like that. And that was a good experience. I was on the twilight of my career. I knew it, and then at that time, my family was really growing by then. I had a couple of kids by then. Jake was my oldest, who I was already going to the arenas, dragging to the arenas, and he was playing, right? So all of that stuff, and just see how this whole cycle of lacrosse goes, and what my dad was doing when I was all getting busy with the program of lacrosse. So as good an experience as the pro part of my career was, I think having the responsibilities of a growing family and work and everything like that, that kind of took precedent over, the weekend games and stuff like that. So playing that last year, I was like, okay, well, sitting in New Jersey, winning the odd game here and then, but at the same time, the experience of it all and knowing that this game is growing, leaps and bounds every year with an expansion team here and there. Geez, we're getting paid. I don't know what my game pay was, but I wasn't even touching them. I just throw them in the drawer, and then end of the season comes, I figure probably this might be it. In my opinion, it's probably going to be my last year of professional lacrosse. So I just stockpiled my game pays, and that was my down payment on our house. So it worked out. It worked out, yeah. And as I stepped away from that pro game, then it just started to pick up more with what I did with my boys' teams. All that stuff. Giving back to the community worked out. It worked out really good. A lot of social work stuff. On the reserve, we got our social services. Worked there for a number of years. We've got a youth lodge which houses kind of youth that are going through some difficult times. It is a 24/7 operation into child welfare, a lot of child welfare stuff. So that part of it, had its dynamics. And for me, a lot of it was just reconnecting who they are. That identity stuff is, lacrosse is a part of who we are. Wherever you go, whatever you do, it's still going to be who you are, basically. So the kind of
part of the medicine.
Yeah. It's definitely that. It's definitely that. You can't get away from that. You could, your dog could run away or could ding up your vehicle or whatever. That's outside. But you come to play lacrosse, everything's good again. Yeah. Yeah. It's that part of the traveling, but life, I think itself is all that same thing. It's who you meet, it's who you hang out with, it's how you socialize, and this game has provided that opportunity endlessly, and it's going to continue. It's going to continue, and right now it's just a matter of how we uphold that image of this game, I guess, because this game is ancient, and I think the speed of technology, the just the whole commercialism of it all, it still cannot compare to the, I guess, the goodness or the medicine part of the original intent of it, right? So in that, it's just a matter of how we keep this community healthy and well, I guess. And we always keep, you know, making sure that what we're doing is helping it and giving back. But at the same time, we're all helping each other, you know. My role now is more or less just an awareness of things, you know, that a lot of people don't know the actual historical history of this game, you know, that it's bigger than all of us put together, basically, you know. So with that, I think even if they do grab a plastic stick or, you know, just may watch a little bit of it, something happens, whether it's intrinsically or whatever, it's just a matter of what that person may need at the time. You take whatever you may need from a situation, right? And if you don't need it, then you just kind of discard it. But if you can share all that good stuff, then that's kind of what it's about too. So that's kind of where I leave things as far as the future of this game. You know, kids are going to benefit from it. Parents are going to benefit from being a part of it. You know, so much good stuff. You know, and that's the academic opportunities of it all. You know, I didn't really see it and didn't even know I was gonna until I was actually, like you said, right there and experiencing it, because it just got presented to me as far as where it can take others. It's a whole mindset though too, you know, because this is a medicine that can prepare you for how things are going to be happening and be ready for it, I guess. You know, you can do your best and everything may not happen, but if it does have that opportunity to happen, be ready to pick it up and do what you can with it, I guess, right? And that's what we got to do, is really prepare our kids to be, you know, open-minded, to socialize, to make friends, and that's what this game does too, is makes a lot of friends, made a lot of friends for me. About 80% of the people I know are through this game, you know. So that in itself has given me a lot of good things, and in return, I just kind of try to make sure that that's what I promote too, right? Back home, you know, we got a lot of kids that do play. We got a lot of kids that don't play, you know, and that in itself is something that's got to change. So I think if it can help me or just any random little one that picks up a stick and a ball and can go and do some things and make them feel good about it, that's what's going to be the best part of it all, right?